Hey guys, I'm gonna walk you guys through some exercises or movements that you can do to help with spinal mobility. So when we think about the spine actually moves in 7 different directions, and it's really important in order for us to maintain a healthy spine that we are doing these kinds of movements on a daily basis. So we're going to walk through some extension, some flexion, lateral flexion, twisting, and inversions. So very simply, we're going to think about extension and flexion through our cow poses. So you're going to find yourself on all fours in a tabletop position. You're going to allow your belly to drop towards the ground, and you're going to turn your tailbone up towards the ceiling. At the same time, you're going to shift your gaze so your neck looks up towards the ceiling. So you'll find a big inhale here. You're going to exhale all your air out. As you do that, you are going to find some tuck in your tailbone, and you're going to send your gaze back towards your belly button. At the same time, you're thinking about pressing your hands into the mat, so you're going to find some protraction through your shoulder blades. So tuck in the tail, press into the hands, protraction in the shoulder blades, send the gaze towards your belly button. So you can move through these 2 movements for your extension and your flexion. Very healthy for the back. We're also going to talk a little bit about how we can find some lateral flexion. So what you can do is, in a tabletop position, you can essentially bend to one side and then the other side. You can also add in a nice calf stretch here as well. So you might send one of your legs out behind you, toes find the mat. You're going to press that heel out behind you. Then find some lateral flexion by bringing that toe across the body and sending the gaze out to that foot. You can do that on both sides. And then we'll talk a little bit about twisting from this position to find some twisted movement in your spine. This is also going to be helpful for some opening in through your shoulders as well. So we can find we can bring a hand to the back of our head so our elbow is pointed out. We're going to find a big inhale, and we're going to twist, and we're thinking about stacking the shoulders on top of each other. So you're going to find a nice twist in through the spine here. And then you can exhale, send that arm underneath you. You're going to bring your shoulder all the way down to the mat. Head comes to the mat. And then maybe stretch this top arm up and out. Now you can hang out here in that position for definitely anywhere between like 30 seconds up to 2 minutes, and that will definitely help increase some of that spinal mobility for twisting. As far as inversions go, a really simple inversion that we can do, obviously you can help yourself into a headstand or a handstand if that's what you would like to do, but our downward facing dog is also an inversion. So to find that, and this is a great stretch for the entire back side of the body, so from our calves all the way up into our low back, and it also helps develop some shoulder strength as well. So we're going to find ourselves in a tabletop position. We're going to move our hands so they come about 1 hand length in front of where they are, so our wrists are tracking a little bit in front of our shoulders. We're going to tuck our toes under. We're going to lift our knees up off the mat. We're going to press into our hands again. We're going to start to straighten the legs, and we're thinking about sending our hips up to the space where the wall and the ceiling meet. Now, while you're here in this position, it's totally okay if your knees are bent. The goal is not to straighten the legs necessarily. So if you find a little bend in your knees, that's totally fine. And you want to think about, you're pressing your heels towards the mat, but it's not necessarily important that they come to touch the mat. So nice big stretch through the back side of the body, and it's healthy for our spine as we find it in inversion there. So in summary, extension and flexion through our cat-cow pose, lateral flexion through side bends. We also engaged in some twisting motions with a little twisted cat, working on that thoracic mobility, and inversion with our downward facing dog.